Hello people, Watchman Blows the Horn here again. So this is a continuation of the video I did earlier about the importance of the Beit Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, the fact that Eden, the garden of the Lord, is the Holy Temple, and Adam and Eve fell and were sent out of the Holy Temple, and the whole of the Bible and the entire story has basically been God trying to restore Adam and his descendants back to the Holy Temple, back to fellowship with himself. So we finished off the last time at the coronation. So of course we have Yeshua's sacrifice, which is what ushers anyone in. Yeshua is the door, the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. So you come in through the door. Of course, the analogy is the spotless lamb was brought into the house on the 10th of Nisan, and then was sacrificed on the 14th of Nisan. And going with the imagery of the Exodus, the children of Israel were dead in Egypt, and then they went through the waters and emerged on the other side alive, the first fruit nation. So at the coronation here, Yeshua has been joined, so Yeshua is crowned, and then he crowned his church, the overcomers, and so the elect bride, the wheat harvest, leave their position and join Yeshua on the throne. So we have the Old Testament saints, the barley harvest. We've got the two witnesses. We've got the 144,000 first fruits of the time of Jacob's trouble. Yeah. So the great multitude holding palm branches, because the first thing that'll happen when we get to heaven is the coronation, and we can see the references for this in Zechariah 3 verse 5, Zechariah 6 verse 11, and pretty much the whole of Revelation 7, which speaks of the sealing of the 144,000 and the great multitude before the throne. So this is when Yeshua is made high priest and judge. Pretty much the same references, but mainly in Zechariah. And he's crowned as king. And the great multitude, the overcomers, will be crowned. Then Yeshua crowns the overcomers. To him who overcomes, I will give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as I overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. Revelation 3 verse 21. So after the coronation, just like when Jericho crossed when Joshua crossed the River Jordan into the Promised Land, the next thing that happened was they had the Passover meal together. Well, remember Yeshua said, "Mark my words, I will not drink wine again until the day I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." Matthew 26 verse 29. So before we have the Passover meal with Yeshua, in the heavenly Jerusalem, he would have dispatched his two witnesses, Moses and Elijah, to come to the earth, because Jewish tradition tells us that Elijah will arrive one day at Passover. So one day in the future, Elijah, one of the two witnesses, will arrive during the Seder, Passover. there's a tradition that they leave a cup of wine for Elijah at every Passover meal, expecting or looking forward to the day that Elijah will join them for the Passover meal. So the definition of Elijah's cup: a cup of wine set on the table at the celebration of the Seder on Passover, and reserved for the precursor of the Messiah, the prophet Elijah, who according to Jewish tradition may come anytime as a guest during the Passover. So that's another way that the Beit Hamikdash points to the actual timing of the rapture. From the events that take place, you can deduce when it'll be, because the whole process, the whole redemption process, starts with the lamb being taken into the house on the 10th of Nisan. Same way Jesus walked into the temple and as the spotless Lamb of God on the 10th of Nisan. Same way Joshua crossed the River Jordan into the Promised Land on the 10th of Nisan, Yom HaAliyah. So, yeah. And of course, remember that when Joseph's brothers went to Egypt during the famine, when they saw Joseph the first time, they didn't recognize him. They thought he was this fierce, terrible, administrator, this fierce, terrible ruler in Egypt. The same way, when Yeshua comes down after the rapture, his people won't recognize him. So Yehovah will make Yeshua take on the appearance of the worthless shepherd, the false Messiah, so that his people will not recognize him. This is the delusion spoken of in 2 Thessalonians 2 from verse 11 to 12. They will refer to him as Al-Masih at-Dajjal, because Yeshua will come down with his 144,000 warriors, and he will wage war against the Islamics. He'll be on the earth for a total of 40 days, from the 1st of Elul 2021 to the 10th of Tishri, which is I think the 16th of September 2021, which is Yom Kippur. So when he arrived, this verse is describing when Yeshua arrives, and says, "Then the Lord will appear over them. His arrow will flash like lightning. The sovereign Lord will sound the trumpet. He will march in the storms of the south, and the Lord Almighty will shield them. They will destroy and overcome with sling stones. They will drink and roar as with wine. They will be full like a bowl used for sprinkling the corners of the altar." Zechariah 9 verse 14 to 15. This is talking about Yeshua and the 144,000 first fruits of the time of Jacob's trouble. And when he arrives, he will shepherd the flock. So I shepherded the flock marked for slaughter, particularly the oppressed of the flock. Then I took 2 staffs and called one favor and the other union, and I shepherded the flock. In 1 month I got rid of the 3 shepherds. The flock detested me, and I grew weary of them, and said, "I will not be your shepherd. Let the dying die, and the perishing perish. Let those who are left eat one another's flesh." Zechariah 11 7 to 9. So basically, they detest Yeshua. They see him as an enemy. They see him as a fierce judge, and they reject him. Okay, and after they reject him, Yeshua will basically leave the earth. "For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, like a great lion to Judah. I will tear them to pieces and go away. I will carry them off with no one to rescue them. Then I will return to my lair until they have borne their guilt and seek my face. In their misery they will earnestly seek me. Hosea 5:14 to 15. They will have to, the children of Israel will have to endure the reign of the Antichrist, and at the halfway point of the 7 years, 7-year covenant that he will sign with them, at the halfway point around 2024, he will show his true colors, walk into the temple of God, proclaim himself to be God. And this is what is referred to in 2 Thessalonians 2 from verse 3 to 4. And the man of sin shall be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, setting himself forth that he is God. And it is at this point that Jerusalem will be surrounded. Those who believe in Yeshua would have fled to Petra. Jerusalem will be sacked, the women raped, men killed, children sold into slavery. And then, of course, the children of Israel who have escaped will recognize that the Antichrist is the false Messiah. And at that point, they will sing Psalm 118. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And then Yeshua will come and bring in the grape harvest. And this is the 2026 is probably when this will happen, because it corresponds with Psalm 126, which says, when the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dreamed. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, the Lord hath done great things for them. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Psalm 126 verse 1 to 3. Turn again our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears, remember Yeshua was the one who sowed, and of course Adam disappointed. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. So this is when Yeshua is bringing in the final harvest. Psalm 126, verse 4 to 6, equivalent to the year 2026. And then for 1 year after the remnant church has been taken up, the final harvest, the third harvest, for 1 year the bulls, that's the grape harvest has been taken up. And then Yeshua gives them the white robes, just like when Joseph was reconciled to his brothers. Remember when Joseph was reconciled to his brothers? He sent everyone out of the room. He was the only one there with his brothers. The same thing's going to happen basically, because it's a shadow. So these are the ones clothed in white robes, described in Revelation 15, standing on the sea of glass. And they're singing, who shall not fear you, O Lord, and glorify your name? For you alone are holy. For all nations shall come and worship before you, for your judgments have been manifested. Revelation 15 verse 4. The grape harvest, standing on the sea of glass with their harps, singing praise to God. Okay. And then of course the equivalent with Joseph, the parallel. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. Genesis 45, verse 1 and 2. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Genesis 4, verse 3 to 4. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45, verse 5. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. Genesis 45, verse 22. So that's exactly what will happen when Yeshua raptures his people into the temple. No one will be in the temple when Yeshua reveals himself to his brethren, and he will give them white robes, because they are going to be the guests at the wedding feast of the Lamb. So, heaven. And I saw heaven open, and I saw the Ark of the Covenants, and there was smoke in the temple, and there was no one was allowed to be in the temple, because it has to parallel the foreshadow, the story of Joseph. Yep. And then, whilst the children, or the remnant children, have been raptured into the heavenly Yerushalayim, the final harvest, the third harvest, the grape harvest, the final bowls of God's wrath are being poured out on the earth. And when the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done, because with the final 7 bowls, God's judgment is complete. And then this is the day that Jesus refers to as the thief, when he's talking to his brethren, telling them to make sure that they don't lose their garments. Okay. He refers to this as well in Revelation 15, verse 16, which is a reference to the parable of the wedding feast, when the guests, one of the guests didn't have the required clothing, and he was cast out into outer darkness, because everything is leading up to the wedding. All the parties are being assembled piece by piece for the great wedding of the Lamb, the redemption, the restoration. You see, it all started in the garden at the very beginning, and it will end in the garden with a grand wedding. And you are invited. Everyone is invited. You can still call upon the name of the Lord today, and you will be saved, and you will be part of that wedding banquet. You really don't want to miss it. And of course, we continue with the theme of agriculture, with the those who have not believed in Yeshua, who are harvested and cast into the winepress of God's wrath. So, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. Revelation 14, verse 19. And the winepress And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress even unto the horse bridles by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Revelation 14 verse 20. So, everything now leads up to Armageddon, basically, which is when the winepress of the Lord will be trodden down, and is referenced in Psalm 127. Except the Lord, because halfway through the 7-year period, with the agreement with the Antichrist, the Antichrist will cause the abomination, will set up the abomination that causes desolation. So the house of the Lord will be desolate, will be made desolate again. So after Armageddon, 2027, the house of the Lord will be rebuilt. So except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. Psalm 127 verse 1 and 2. Lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Now, notice talking about children here, because 144,000 are the children who were killed when Yeshua was born, when Herod wanted to kill Yeshua, and he sent out the decree to kill all the children under the age, or all the male children under the age of 2. As arrows in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gates. So this is indicating that the 144,000 are going to be part of the army that will do the battle of Armageddon. The 144,000 are the arrows in the Lord's quiver. The 144,000 first fruit warriors, the arrows in the Lord's quiver. And of course, Yeshua, with the sword coming out of his mouth, shall destroy the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet at the very end. The winepress of God's wrath. Revelation 14, 19 to 20. So, everything is basically building up to the return, to the restoration, to the redemption, bringing everything back to the Beit Hamikdash. You see, everything started in the temple. Everything started in the garden of God. And the whole point of the redemption is to bring everyone back into the garden of God. Bring everyone back into the heavenly Jerusalem. And that is the work that God did in our Lord Jesus Christ. And we will all be assembled. Yeshua will be there with his queen, the church. Yehovah will be the father of the day. The 144,000 first fruits will be there. The Old Testament barley harvest will be there. The saints of the time of Jacob's trouble, the grape harvest will be there. The 2 witnesses will be there. The 24 elders will be there. The 4 living creatures will be there. What a glorious day that'll be, when the redemption, the Geulah, is complete. So you see, this is the reason why Jerusalem is so important. This is the reason why Jerusalem can't be divided. Jerusalem is living. Jerusalem is God's child. to divide Jerusalem is to kill God's child. And that's why, at the hint of dividing Jerusalem, judgment will come. The Beit Hamikdash is Eden, the garden of God, where it all started. So, as it all started in the garden with the fall, and it will end in the garden with a wedding. So, interesting times. That's why Jerusalem is important. That's why Jerusalem can't be divided. That's why Jerusalem shouldn't be divided. And that is what is going to usher in the final judgment, the approach of Planet X, the fiery red dragon, which will allow God to do his work, his strange work of raining down fire on his enemies. So, I hope this presentation has opened your eyes to the reason why Jerusalem is so important. Jerusalem is a portal. It's a link. It's the umbilical cord that links the mother Jerusalem, the heavenly Jerusalem, with the child Jerusalem, the earthly Jerusalem. It's precious. It's unlike any other place on earth. I hope this study blesses you. And we are close. We are very close. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you. Please like, subscribe, share widely, and I'll see you in the next video. Shalom.